Why do we haunt ourselves? We wake up in the morning, but our minds are still sleeping in yesterday. We replay old arguments. We relive old failures. We touch old wounds just to see if they still bleed. We think the past is haunting us, like a ghost that rattles chains in the hallways of our memory. But have you ever considered that you might be the ghost? That by choosing to live in a time that is already dead, you are missing the life that is right here, right now. You are the one walking through the walls of the present moment, unseen and unfelt. This was the shadow that followed a man named Silas. He walked through a beautiful, vibrant city, alive with the hum of a new day. The bakeries breathed warm, sweet air onto the streets. The chatter of people meeting for coffee filled the squares. But Silas saw none of it. His eyes were glazed over, looking inward, not outward. In his hands, he clutched a heavy, dusty book titled simply, Yesterday. It was his constant companion, his most cherished possession, and his heaviest anchor. He would stop in the middle of a busy sidewalk, oblivious to the world flowing around him, and flip through its worn pages. He would trace the words with his finger, muttering to himself, "I should have said this." His voice was a low, mournful whisper. If only I had done that. He would tap a page, remembering a moment of glory, a bright, shining second from a decade ago, and a sad smile would touch his lips before vanishing. Then he would turn another page, and his face would darken at the memory of a mistake, a word he wished he could take back, a decision that led him down a path he still regretted. The emotional cost was immense. He bumped into people, earning annoyed glares that he never even noticed. He missed the sunrise, its brilliant colors painting the sky just for him, because he was too busy reading about a sunset from 5 years ago. He was physically present in the world, but spiritually, he was a prisoner, stuck in a loop of his own making. He was a walking echo, a man whose soul lived 10 years in the past. One crisp autumn morning, Silas found himself on a park bench. He was weeping. A particular page in his book was stained with fresh tears, detailing a loss so profound it felt as recent as the morning dew on the grass. The world around him was a spectacle of autumn's magic. The wind, like a playful artist, was scattering golden, red, and orange leaves across the paths, creating a mosaic on the ground. A gust blew a flurry of them around Silas, and he swatted at them, annoyed. They were a distraction from his sorrow, an interruption to his ritual of remembrance. And then he saw him. Through the whirlwind of leaves, he saw an old man, a street sweeper, moving with a gentle, rhythmic grace. His name was Oren. With a long bristled broom, he was sweeping the fallen leaves into neat piles, clearing the path. He was not rushing. He was not frustrated by the endless cascade of more leaves falling. In fact, he was humming a happy, simple tune, a melody that seemed to perfectly match the rustle of his broom and the crispness of the air. He was a part of the morning, not an observer of it. He was clearing the way for the new day. Silas watched him for a long time, a strange mix of irritation and curiosity brewing within him. Finally, he closed his heavy book and called out, his voice hoarse from crying, "Why do you sweep them away? Some of these leaves were beautiful." Oren stopped his work and leaned on his broom, his face wrinkled with a kind smile. He looked at the leaves, then at Silas. "They were beautiful, yes, you are right," Oren said, his voice warm and steady. "They had their season. They were green and full of life. They gave us shade in the summer. But now their time is done. Now they are on the ground. If I leave them here, they will become a soggy, slippery mess. They will rot. They will hide the stones of the path and trip up the unwary. To appreciate their beauty in the spring, I must clear them away in the fall. Orrin then nodded toward the heavy book in Silas's lap. You are carrying a bag of dead leaves, traveler. You hold them and you look at them, trying to remember how green they were. You are trying to keep them green, but you cannot. No matter how tightly you hold them, they will never return to the branch. Silas clutched the book tighter. These are not just leaves. These are my memories. They are who I am. Orrin took a slow step closer, his eyes full of a deep, ancient understanding. Are they, or are they who you were? Tell me, traveler, do you invite guests to your home? Silas, confused by the question, simply nodded. Good, Orrin continued. Now, imagine you have a guest. He comes for dinner. You talk, you laugh, you share a meal. It is a wonderful evening. But then the evening ends. The guest thanks you, puts on his coat, and leaves. He has gone home. The visit is over. Orrin paused, letting his words settle. But you do not clear the table. The next morning, you wake up and you set a place for him again. You talk to the empty chair. You tell it about your day. You ask it questions it cannot answer. You are so busy setting the table for a guest who is no longer there that you do not notice the new guest knocking at your front door, hoping to be invited in. Yesterday is a guest who has already left the house. He had his time, and it was good, but he is gone. Orrin looked directly into Silas's eyes, and his next words landed with the force of a physical blow. The ghost is not the past, Silas. The ghost is you. You are haunting a memory that no longer exists. You are the one rattling the chains. You are the one wailing in the empty hallways. To live today, you must bury yesterday. You must thank the guest for his visit, and then you must clear the table. You must sweep the path. It was like a bolt of lightning. The words echoed in the sudden silence of Silas's mind. The ghost is you. The absurdity of it all crashed down on him. He looked at the heavy book, its pages filled with ghosts he had kept fed and warm for years. He had been setting the table for a guest who had left. He had been talking to an empty chair. For the first time, he felt the true weight of the book in his hands. It was not a treasure. It was a tombstone he had been carrying on his lap. The memories were not keeping him alive. They were the very reason he felt so dead. Slowly, deliberately, Silas stood up. He looked at Orrin, who simply offered a gentle, encouraging nod. He then looked down at the book, Yesterday. He ran his hand over the cover one last time, not with longing, but with a quiet farewell. He gently placed the book on the empty park bench. He did not slam it down in anger or drop it with haste. It was a release, a letting go, and he did not look back. He turned and stepped onto the path that Orrin had just swept. The path was clean, clear, and open. The stones were visible, solid beneath his feet. He took a deep, shuddering breath, and the crisp morning air filled his lungs. It tasted of earth, of autumn, of new beginnings. He looked up at the sky, at the bright, unfiltered blue between the branches. For the first time in so many years, Silas was not a ghost haunting his own life. He was here, he was now, he was alive. The moral is that we cannot live fully in the present while we are clutching the artifacts of the past. To banish the ghosts of yesterday, we must stop inviting them to our table and learn to sweep the path clean for today.